And we're back some more New York Rangers franchise mode in FHM 11. And in this one, we have a pretty big offseason coming up because as we take a look at our current salary, we are paying our players currently $91.1 million. That is roughly $3 million over the salary cap. So we're going to have to trade somebody. I'm not even going to look at free agency until we do that. And something else that we have to do is sign a new head coach because Rod Brindamore has retired. So he was standard, balanced, passive, aggressive, prefers prospects, balanced, ruthless. He had 20s across the board for his coaching ratings. 20 tech. It's going to be hard to replace Brindamore. It's going to be really hard to replace him with what he did for us in the 2034-35 season especially. So I think someone who is relatively close in terms of overall ability and preferences is Martin St. Louis. He has a 20 coaching rating. His coaching ratings are phenomenal all across the board. Miscellaneous ratings are great. Player management is at 20. Motivation's at 17. Discipline's at 15. Tactics is at 19. In-game tactics is at 19 as well. He has a history of winning the Jack Adams. So I think Martin St. Louis will be our next head coach. I'll give him 2 seasons, see what he can do. So now with that out of the way, I think we're going to be moving someone from our defensive core out because if you take a look, you have Mitchell Bowes who's coming up. He's 21 years of age, 2-star ability, 4.5-star potential. I want to give him a shot in the NHL this year for sure. So we're going to have to move a left defenseman out. And I think that is going to be Jonathan Prudhomme because he is a 3-star ability at 29 years of age, currently making 6.75. And then if you take a look at what he wants on his contract extension, he wants 8.265 for the next 3 years. That is not going to happen. I'm telling you right now, that is absolutely not going to happen with the way this team's financial situation is. So I think we are going to be trading Jonathan Prudhomme in order to make room for Mitchell Bowes in the lineup. So I think with that said, there's not really much to do except advance to the draft order announcement. And now time for the draft lottery. At number 16, you have Boston, followed up by Columbus, Philly, New Jersey, Washington, Carolina, Florida. So Chicago moves up, Nashville, St. Louis, Calgary, San Jose, Edmonton, Colorado, Toronto, and at number 1 is Chicago, followed up by Vancouver. So I just realized that a owner goal failed the day before the actual draft. It says, Chris Keith is not pleased that you failed to complete the task of draft a local player on July 5th when the draft is on July 6th. That's certainly a bit odd. Must be a bit of an oversight there. So let's see. What are we going to be able to get if we shop Prudhomme? Oh, we can get a first. We can get a first for Prudhomme from a lot of teams, actually. So there's Chicago, Vancouver, Toronto, Colorado, Edmonton is the top 5. I do not see any of those teams here. Next is San Jose and Calgary. I do not see San Jose nor Calgary. Then you have St. Louis, Nashville, and Florida. I do not see any of those teams either. Then you have Carolina and Washington. Okay, so Carolina did offer for Prudhomme, and that's for this year as well. What about Washington? Yeah, Washington offered as well. If there's still a player of interest available at number 11, then I think we take that trade from Carolina. Obviously, it'd be nice to get either Jason Richens or Nicolas Giroux, but I don't think that's going to happen. At least not without giving up one of our key guys here. Yeah, I think we're just going to simulate ahead here and see what happens in the top 5 because we're obviously not going to be able to get any of those picks, I don't think. So first overall, the Chicago Blackhawks will take Jason Richens first overall. 1-star ability, 5-star potential. He looks like he's going to be good. And second overall will be Nicolas Giroux to the Vancouver Canucks. Then you have Sam Braid going to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Right defenseman, 0.5-star ability, 3.5-star potential. Then you have Leo Bateller going to the Colorado Avalanche. At number 5, you have Alex Vedic going to the Edmonton Oilers. 0.5-star ability, 3-star potential. Then you have Scott Cloutier going to the San Jose Sharks. 0.5-star ability, 4-star potential. So Robin Pakuda is still there, but maybe not for long. Let's see at number 7. Yep, there it goes to Calgary. Number 8 will be Timothy Gilbert. At 9, you have Josh Kriska. At number 10, you have Leon Bauer to Florida. So you have 2 3.5-star potentials left. At number 11, you have Igor Malashev, who looks like he's going to be a project. Then Dave Phillips, 0.5-star ability, 3.5-star potential. There's also Kapani Zabo, who we could take. He's already a 2-star ability. He's got the 5-star consensus potential, but he only has a 2.5-star team scouting potential. So, and he's ranked at number 1. I mean, then again, I take, you all know I take the mock draft with a grain of salt, but the fact that he has that 5-star consensus, I don't know. I feel like he might be worth taking a chance on. Let's see his personality. Yeah, it's a good personality. I like that. His career stats, he had 38 points last year in Slovakia, 49 games played, 66 grade. I mean, we have to trade Prudhomme anyway, right? Like, there's no doubt about that. So I think we will take this pick from, who was it again? Carolina? Yeah. So we will take this first round pick from Carolina in exchange for Jonathan Prudhomme, accept offer, and then we will go back into the draft and make our pick. And I think that's got to be Sabo. I mean, we could take Malashev, but again, I think he's going to take a little long. He's going to be a project, it looks like. And his consensus potential is actually a 2-star. And then you have Dave Phillips, who obviously the goaltenders in this game may or may not work out. I think it's honestly all up to chance. So Kapani Sabo is looking like the pick here. So I'm banking on him reaching his consensus potential here. And even if he doesn't, it looks like he'll still be at least a serviceable NHL player, basically right out of the gate, right? So yeah, I think we're going to be taking Kopani Zabo here with this pick. Welcome to the New York Rangers. And now I think we will simulate ahead to our next pick, which will be at number 30. And that is 2.5 star potential left in Dmitry Turi, the goaltender. Yeah, we may as well. There's no one else who's looking particularly interesting here. So Dmitry Turi, welcome to the New York Rangers. In the second round now, I think I've found someone who is at least intriguing, somewhat intriguing. You have Yaroslav Moravchik. Got some decent ratings all around. Nothing too spectacular. Got the 2-star potential, so maybe he'll be something, maybe he won't. But like I said, he at least looks interesting enough. So Yaroslav Moravchik, welcome to the New York Rangers. And with that, we're now down to 1.5 star potentials. So we will have the computer finish the draft. All right, good. I was waiting for these guys to come down on their prices. Eric Reed now wants a minimum deal for 2 years. Before, I think he was asking for like 2.4 mil, something like that. And then Greg Larson wants 1.3 for 2 years. I think both of these guys, yeah, they were both in the AHL for the past 2 years, just as depth players in case we needed them. But now I think we do need them for sure, as we only have 21 players on the roster. So I would like to get both of them back on the team. There you go, Greg Larson. And I think as for Sabo, yeah, I mean, we may as well see what he can do. And even if he doesn't work out at the NHL level right away, we could just send him to the AHL and he should be ready to go pretty soon. And with that, we are at 87.4 in cap. So we are just below the cap ceiling. But of course, that's with 24 players on the roster. So I think for right now, we're going to just have to see how Sebastian Andreasen does in goal. I mean, we've seen 1.5 star goaltenders succeed before. And with the way goaltending is in this game, why not? In goal, we'll be rolling with Vinny and Andreasen. On defense, you have Dennis, Willander, Cole, Villeneuve, Reed, Bose, and Mrazek. And at forward, you have Bjork, Tomek, Venberg, Nadeau, Artamanov, Ryabkin, Marinochkin, Arvidsson, Kyla, Kozlov, Wickstrom, Cataford, Larson, Reed, Sabo. So it's unfortunate that we had to part with Prudhomme, but I think we got a pretty good return in Kopani Sabo, and we'll see how he turns out. Okay, actually, never mind. Before we advance, I would like to get a third string goaltender, but absolutely no more than a minimum deal. So sure, Brandon Grant, get on the team. All right, Brandon Grant has signed. And with that, I think we can advance to the start of the regular season of year number 13 now, is it? Yeah, we're at the start of year number 13 now. And in the Hockey Hall of Fame this year are Brad Marchand, Mark Scheifele, Drew Doughty, and Nikita Kucherov. All right, so I just had to sign a few players out of free agency. Ethan Garden, Daniel Salomonson, and Isaac Pare, as we have a bunch of players right now who are on international duty or injured. So we're filling up our preseason roster a bit. I think, unfortunately, as part of the preseason cuts, I am going to send down Sabo. He's the last guy I'm sending down, though, as the roster is currently at 24. Got 2 goalies, 7 defensemen. So I think he's the last one to be cut here. But he made a pretty good impression, as he's currently up to a 3-star potential. And if we take a look at his development chart, his acceleration went up, strength went up, getting open went up, shooting accuracy went up, checking went up, and stick checking went up as well. I believe that was all from the training camp. So he's showing a lot of promise for sure, but I think he could use a little bit of seasoning in the AHL first. But he is definitely the first call up. So this is our roster heading into year number 13. You have Vinny and Andreasen in goal. Both did very well in the preseason. On defense, you have Dennis with a 97 defensive grade in the preseason. Willander, Cole, Villeneuve, Reed, Bose, and Mrazek. And at forward, you have Bjork, Tomek, Venberg, Nadeau, Artamanov, Ryabkin, Marinochkin, Arvidsson, Kyla, Wickstrom, Cataford, Kozlov, Larson, and Reed. Oh, Salomonson claimed by St. Louis. That's fine. He was just Just a preseason signing just to fill out the roster. And there is apparently too many active players. I'm not sure why that is. I know for sure that I had 23 before. I don't know who ended up getting called up by the computer here. It looks like our defensive core is intact. Forward wise, yeah. Hare, I do not remember calling him up. That is not something I would have done. Send him back to Hartford. I don't know what happened there. Oh, look at that. Kabani Sabo. He's up to a 2.5-star ability already after a month of simulating. First major injury of the year, Vigo Bjork. 1 to 2 months again. That's unfortunate, especially after the major injury he had last year that kept him out for the rest of the season. Yeah, not a good way to start there. Luckily, though, we are 9-2-2, so we're off to a great start as a team. Just unfortunate injury timing there. Ooh, 2 major injuries in a row. Cole, 2 to 3 weeks. All right, that's not bad. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And Bose, 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. But you know what? This team is very, very impressive, to say the least. We are currently 24-2-3 on December 10th. There's really nothing to say except this team's good. This team's really good. We're currently on a 13-game winning streak, so I think we're just going to go straight to the trade deadline, honestly. And of course, we're going to need a couple of defensemen, so we'll call up Clifford Reinhardt, and then we're also going to need to sign somebody out of free agency since we had 2 injuries at once here. I think that'll just be Ryder McLeod. Wow, there's our first regulation loss there, right there against Winnipeg in a long time. As we see before we go back to November, our last loss was November 10th against Vegas. That is one long winning streak, and like I said, this team is very impressive. I have not seen anything like this in quite some time. Okay, so we're at the trade deadline. We're 42-20-4. We had a bit of a slide, I believe, in January and February. As you see, we have a loss, 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 win, loss, 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 win, win, loss, loss, win, win, loss. So January was pretty ugly. February, you have a loss, 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 win, loss, win, loss, win, 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 loss. So the second half of February was better, but this has been a very interesting team, to say the least. So let's take a look at the player stats. You have in goal a 908 save percentage for Vinny in 58 games played, and for Andreasen in 12 games played in 901. And skater-wise, you have 74 points for Venberg, leads the team. Nadeau with 64, Tomek with 61, Artamanov with 59, Bjork with 56 and 54, Dennis with 46 in 66. So two-way defenseman Jack Dennis over here. That 20 shutdown defenseman rating also been key offensively this year. Then you have Harshawn Kyla with 42, Villander with 42 as well. 34 for Cole in 57 games played. So he's having a bit of a slump this year, at least compared to last year. Ryabkin has 33, Villeneuve with 29, 22 for Wickstrom, 21 for Arvidsson, Bose, and Mrazek, 14 for Cataford, 13 for Kozlov, 11 for Marinochkin in 58 games played. Really, only 11. He had 38 last year total. Then you have Larson with 8, Reed with 6, Reinhardt with 4, the other Reed with 3, and McLeod with 2. So honestly, I'm not keen on re-signing Marinochkin right now, considering that he wants 6.8 for 3 years and he only has 11 points right now. Should we just hold on to him? Because we're on a pretty good run, despite the fact that January and February were not great. You know, let's just see what we could get for him. Oh, we get a first. We get a first for Marinochkin. Granted, none of them are from rebuilders. You have Winnipeg, Washington, Vancouver, and Nashville. They're all at least above 500, but that is still a first. Let's see. Let's take a look at this year's draft. Well, there's Emmer, Radek Emmer, the 5-star potential defenseman. But after that, it drops immediately down to 3 stars. I'm not exactly feeling this draft. Definitely underwhelming, especially compared to last year's. I think it might just be better to hold on to him. Just keep him for the playoff run, because honestly, a first in this year's draft, it does not look like is going to be worth much. So we may as well just hold on to him. And none of the first being offered are for 2038 either. They're all for this year's draft. Then you also have Wickstrom, who needs to be re-signed. We can at least qualify him. He wants $3 million for 4 years. I think I'll do that for him. He only has 22 points so far this year. And actually, did I see an indefinite injury? Yeah, he has an indefinite injury. So he's going to be out for the rest of the season, it looks like. Move him to the injury list. Then you also have Villeneuve, who wants 7.7 for 3 years. Ooh. I mean, he's decent. He's a good defenseman, but again, it's a matter of, are we going to be able to afford that? I don't think so. Not with the way our cap it's at currently. I mean, it's not like I'm trading any of these guys because, we're on a pretty good run right now. I would like to keep this roster together, see if we can go one more run at the cup, right? But still, it's unfortunate that we're going to have to be saying goodbye to even more of these players that we have considered part of our core for a little bit now. Let's see what Kozlov wants. He wants 4.3 for 6 years, and he's currently on his entry-level deal. Yeah, there's no way we're going to be able to afford guys like Villeneuve and Marinochkin. I think they got to go. And unfortunately, that's going to have to be by the way of free agency because honestly, I don't want to make any moves right now. I don't want to do anything that would mess with the chemistry that we have. Despite the slide that we've been on throughout January and some of February, this is still a very good team, and I don't want to mess with anything that would really disrupt that, Then again, we do need to give time to Kapani Sabo eventually, but I think that's going to come next year because right now I want to keep what we have together. So Zabo can just finish out the rest of the year with Hartford, and then we'll call him up next year, see how he does. But yeah, I think we're going to just move forward with this roster because there's really nothing I want to do. Despite the fact that we had a rough January and questionable February, I believe we can still do it. So let's just advance to the end of the regular season here. Ooh, major injury going into the playoffs. Mitchell Bowes, 2-3 weeks. Okay, so he'll be out to start the playoffs, but should be back probably by the second round. And we have finished the season. We are 53, 22, and 7 on the season. Pretty good season, all things considered. I mean, I would have preferred to not have that slide in January and February, but it is what it is. It's still a pretty good team. So let's check out the player stats for the season. In goal, you have a 907 save percentage for Vinny and 70 games played, and for Andreasen in 17 games played, a 905. And skater-wise, you have 92 points for Venberg in 82 games played. Tomek was 78, Nadeau was 72, Artamadov was 69, Bjork was 66, Dennis with 54, Kyler with 54 as well, Willander with 50, Cole with 47, Ryabkin with 43, Villeneuve with 32, Bose with 31, Mrazek with 26, 25 for Arvidsson, 23 for Kozlov, 22 for Wickstrom, 14 for Cataford, 13 for Marinochkin, 11 for Larson, 7 for Reed, 4 for the other Reed, 4 for Reinhardt, and 2 for McLeod in 4 games played. And now let's get a look at the team stats. Goals for per game, we sit 5th in the league with a 3.65. Goals against per game, we sit 6th in the league with a 2.87. Faceoffs, we are 13th in the league with a 50.7. Power play, we are 12th in the league with a 21.3, and penalty kill, we are 10th in the league with an 81.4. So with that, I think we can advance to the playoffs and see what we have. I believe we'll be facing the Washington Capitals here. And yes, indeed, we'll be facing the 38, 32, and 12 Washington Capitals, who only have 88 points. So before we end things off, I want to thank our channel members. Thank you as always for your support. We'll end things off here. And the next one, we will go through the year 13 playoffs with your New York Rangers.